New, never-before-seen photos and video connected to the investigation into the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. This is now available to the public. It includes pictures and video of the car Shakur was riding in the night of his death. You can see...
One last question. Is Tupac still alive? Nobody knows.
You seriously think that he might still be alive?
I would say this, Tupac, you never.
New video shows Tupac Shakur and Marion Suge Knight leaving the MGM Grand after a fight involving a rival gang. The video, part of evidence shown to a Las Vegas grand jury, leading the panel to indict Dwayne Keefe D. Davis in Shakur's murder.
What if everything we thought we knew about Tupac's demise was only half of the story? New leaked footage from 2025 is shaking the internet and raising questions nobody ever expected to ask. From missing hospital hours to a mysterious funeral clip that shouldn't exist. Was the official timeline wrong? Who filmed what we were never meant to see? Stay tuned, because this deep dive might change everything you believed about Tupac's final days.
That's Pac, man. He was the outlaw, and Reg from Holler Back just trying to be friendly and get order.
So you seriously think that he might still...
Thug life, guys, and we heard what he had to say. He basically said he ain't have nothing to do with my brother's.
Mapreem told Diddy years ago.
Alright, man, I'm just gonna say it. I knew it all along. Suge Knight's son claims Tupac is alive and is living in Malaysia. Malaysia, of all countries. I thought my mans was chilling in Cuba. What happened to Cuba? Only reason why I knew Tupac was alive because this motherfucker who gave me my food the other day looked way too familiar.
So in January, you posted a couple Instagram things that sort of implied that Tupac was alive and in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And also I think you said some things maybe last year as well. And of course that, I'm curious, what was that?
I already know.
Everyone thought Tupac's story ended in Las Vegas. Until now. Newly uncovered footage, supposedly taken at a secret funeral viewing, has flipped everything we thought we knew. What the camera caught wasn't closure at all. It looked more like a hidden moment the world was never meant to see. And it's raising questions that refuse to go away.
He's told me, I basically asked, was Tupac only pretending to be in order to appeal to gangs and politicize them? And he said yes. And that was part of his thug life agenda that he came up with his imprisoned stepfather, Mutulu Shakur. And so Tupac was just using that.
Because all these guys sold him this lifestyle idea, but he wasn't it. He couldn't fight. He had no athleticism. He didn't know how to shoot. He wasn't that guy, but he started to believe it.
He method acted it.
In 2025, almost 30 years after Tupac's demise, the internet exploded over a 14-second clip, grainy, dark, but unmistakably showing someone who looked exactly like Tupac in an open casket. The angle, the setup, even the people in the background didn't match any official record. There was never supposed to be a viewing, never supposed to be any footage. Yet here it was, the 14 seconds that shook hip-hop, with fans calling it chilling proof that something didn't add up.
50 Cent has been working on this documentary for almost 2 years. The footage he has is insane. The people he got speaking about Diddy is ridiculous. There's a part with what he didn't like is that Tupac and Biggie started getting very close because Tupac would allow Biggie to open for him. So you guys have to realize, I had Greg Kading on the show 10 years ago. Greg Kading is the guy that was the lead investigator of Tupac. He was in the documentary as well. He was investigating what happened to, he was investigating what happened to, and Rob, if you can pull up the podcast with he and I.
To understand why this clip hits so hard, you have to go back where it all started. The night Tupac was ambushed. On September 7, 1996, Tupac went to Las Vegas with Suge Knight to watch the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. The plan was simple. Watch the match, celebrate a little, then fly back to Los Angeles. But 5 minutes after leaving the casino, everything changed. While stopped at a red light, a white Cadillac pulled up beside their BMW and unloaded more than a dozen hits. Tupac was hit 4 times. Suge was grazed. By 11:20 p.m., Tupac was rushed to the University Medical Center in critical condition. From that moment on, his life hung by a thread. But what happened afterwards is where the story gets even deeper. Gobi M. Rahim, Tupac's filmmaker, friend, and creative partner, was one of the first to reach the hospital. He had been with Tupac through the wildest moments of his career and arrived expecting chaos. Police everywhere, media crowding the doors. Instead, he found hallways quiet, filled with fear. Suge Knight's parents were there. Afeni Shakur's assistants were there. Kadada Jones, Tupac's fiancée, was crying by the payphone. Everyone was waiting for news. When a nurse finally came out, she explained that Tupac's right lung had been destroyed and surgeons had removed it. She said he would be in surgery for hours, fighting for his life through one repair after another. The nurse's calm tone didn't soften the reality. Tupac's body was in critical condition. Doctors removed his right lung, repaired his chest, and adjusted machines to keep him alive. Even then, his own team refused to give up. Gobi and the Outlaws took shifts at the hospital, guarding doors themselves, because they genuinely feared someone might try to finish the job. The place was chaos. Unmarked cars outside, security overwhelmed, strangers popping up in hallways pretending to be staff. By the fifth night, things were so tense that the Fruit of Islam stepped in to handle security.
You just have to tune into the show for my answer.
Oh, come on.
I'm telling you, you just have to tune into the show for my answer. Like, I don't want to ruin it's an important message. Tupac's father. So that's all I have to say. It's just that, just tune in and just support us.
Well, let me ask you, because you said you got all the followers and people in Germany calling you. Did you get any flack for that? Were people thinking, that you were joking or being disrespectful or anything like that?
Of course, I meant no disrespect to that man's family. That man's family is my family,
But on September 13, 1996, at 4:03 p.m., Tupac was gone. The next day, per Afeni Shakur's wishes, he was cremated privately. No public viewing, no coffin, no gravesite. Just a small ceremony on the Malibu beach with bonfires, drums, and the scattering of ashes. Afeni wanted peace, not a spectacle. Reports from family and death row insiders say the cremation happened immediately and under tight supervision. But the timeline has always had strange gaps. No funeral home ever confirmed handling his body, and the crematory worker supposedly involved quit and disappeared. Now here's where everything gets messy. Decades later, a leaked clip appears to show Tupac in an open casket surrounded by candles and a few mourners. The face, the tattoos, everything looks like him. And if that footage is real, then the world was only given half the story. Official records say there was no viewing at all. The timeline was simple: passing away on September 13th, cremation on the 14th, private beach memorial on the 15th, 16th, and a public ceremony in Harlem on the 22nd. No funeral home, no cameras, no visitors. But the leaked footage, believed to have been filmed in a small mortuary room, tells a different story. Even the candles in the clip match the style of Angelus Funeral Home, the same place Tupac was allegedly transported before cremation, even though Angelus denies any filming ever happened.
New video shows Tupac Shakur and Marion Suge Knight leaving the MGM Grand after a fight involving a rival gang. The video, part of evidence shown to a Las Vegas grand jury, leading the panel to indict Dwayne Keefe D. Davis in Shakur's the grainy video from a surveillance camera showing Shakur and Knight in the front of the entourage from Death Row Records. Just before, the two groups fought here by a bank of elevators. The fight over a chain like this, a necklace Knight gave members of his group for Christmas.
And the thing is, the rumors aren't new. Back in the late 90s, people whispered that a select few from Death Row privately saw Tupac's body. Some said it was out of grief, others out of doubt. A few even claimed the face didn't look like him. Today, those old whispers suddenly have a visual match. And that's why this footage is shaking the internet.
Death Row Records spelled out in jewels.
And ultimately, our persistence in this investigation has paid off.
It's an investigation Metro Police worked on for 27 years. Prosecutors say some photos were on Polaroid, others on film. Photos like these of the BMW Tupac was riding in with Knight. Images shown to a grand jury include the car riddled with holes.
For the longest time, everyone thought Tupac's story ended at that Malibu Beach memorial, the quiet gathering where his friends played his music, passed cigars around, and scattered what they believed were his ashes under the night sky. People who were there described it as small and intimate. Afeni Shakur, the Outlaws, Jada Pinkett Smith, Snoop Dogg, and a few dozen others. Some remembered drums and sage. Others remembered crying and laughing at the same time. And that's also where one of hip-hop's wildest legends was born. the ashes story. Members of the Outlaw later admitted they mixed some of Tupac's ashes with marijuana and smoked it as a tribute, inspired by one of his lyrics. But a Finney side of the family later shut that story down, calling it disrespectful and unauthorized. Here's the problem. If the leaked footage is real and Tupac's body was still intact on September 14th, how could anyone have smoked his ashes? The timestamp on the video matches the exact day his cremation was supposed to happen. Experts noticed the room in the clip looked exactly like a 90s Los Angeles mortuary, complete with silk cloths and old-school decor. The tattoos match Tupac's autopsy photos, but one detail doesn't: the chest wound from emergency surgery. In the official report, that incision was obvious. In the clip, nothing, just smooth skin and makeup, which means one of two things happened. Either the footage was staged, or his body was prepared for a viewing, meaning the mortuary was involved and a private service really did take place. Now, rewind to Tupac's final 24 hours, September 7, 1996. Vegas was glowing that night. Tyson was fighting, Death Row was in the building, and Tupac was alive. Hyped, joking around. But within hours, he'd be fighting for his life. The whole night has been analyzed for decades, and somehow the timeline still feels off. Tupac spent the day at the Luxor Hotel with his fiancée, Kidada Jones. The room filled with cigarette smoke and sandalwood, the ritual he did before big appearances. He called Suge Knight around 2 p.m. to plan their meetup at the MGM Grand. Tyson had even promised to walk out to Tupac's song, Can't See Me. Behind the scenes, though, there was tension. Tupac had already fired his death row legal and security team 2 weeks before. Gobi Rahim, who was working closely with Tupac at the time, later explained that this was the moment Tupac was trying to break away. He said Tupac was finally ready to fly the coop. By the time Tupac touched down in Vegas, he was basically moving without real protection. The security around him answered to Suge Knight, not to him, and the pressure from death row had been building for weeks. Suge wanted him loyal, recording, and staying in line, even while Tupac was already trying to break away. So when Tupac and Suge walked into the MGM Grand around 8:30 p.m., the energy was already tense. Tyson's fight ended in just 2 minutes. The crowd exploded, and in the chaos near the elevators, one moment changed everything. One of Suge's guys spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a Crip who had robbed a death row associate weeks earlier and snatched a Mob Pereira medallion. That chain wasn't just jewelry, it was disrespect. Tupac didn't hesitate. He walked up, asked him if he was from the South Side, and punched him. Within seconds, Suge and others jumped in. The beatdown lasted barely 13 seconds, caught on silent casino cameras, and it basically sealed Tupac's fate. Security broke it up. Nobody was arrested. Anderson left angry and humiliated. Tupac and Suge walked out smiling, like they'd settled a score. They drove back to the Luxor. Tupac changed clothes, black vest off, white tank top on, gold chains glowing. Kidada tried to stop him from going out again, but Suge was hosting an after-party at Club 662, and Tupac felt obligated. Even then, he knew something felt wrong. Gobi described the energy that night as heavy, like danger was in the air, but Tupac still got in the car. At 10:30 p.m., they left the Luxor in Suge's black BMW, with the Outlaws and Death Row crews following behind. The Strip was wild that night, packed, loud, slow-moving. Around 11:05 p.m., some women in a white Cadillac pulled up beside them, flirting and laughing. Tupac joked back, flashing his ring, a tiny moment of ease right before everything turned dark. A few blocks later, they hit the light at Flamingo and Caval, and that's where the night ended. Witnesses said the attack happened fast, almost too fast to process. A different white Cadillac pulled up beside Suge's BMW, the window slid down, and a .40 caliber unloaded up to 15 hits. 4 hit Tupac, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm, 1 in the thigh. Suge was grazed and bleeding as he tried to keep the car moving, swerving through traffic until police finally caught up with them. By 11:20 p.m., paramedics were rushing Tupac to University Medical Center, fighting to keep his pulse stable. Surgeons worked on him immediately, removing bullets, repairing arteries, putting him on a ventilator. For 6 days, he fought for his life, undergoing multiple surgeries, including the removal of his right lung. Outside the trauma unit, a different kind of battle was unfolding. Gobi Rahim had got there within an hour, said the waiting room felt split. Suge's people on one side, Tupac's family and friends on the other. When Afeni Shakur arrived the next morning, the mood snapped from panic to pure determination. But as days passed, hope slowly faded. The updates kept swinging between small improvements and serious complications. And by the 6th day, the tension was so heavy that the Fruit of Islam took over security, silently guarding the halls. Hours later, while Gobi was driving through the California desert, a radio DJ announced it. Tupac was gone at 4:03 p.m. The official cause was respiratory failure and cardiac arrest. But here's where everything splits. Gobi said a nurse told him Tupac was 13% better that morning. So how did improving turn into demise within hours? Some believe the decision to remove him from life support wasn't just medical. Afeni reportedly didn't want his suffering prolonged. But others said arguments broke out between family, doctors, and death row staff. And Suge Knight even claimed Tupac was talking and joking before he passed away, something the medical charts don't support. No neutral witness was ever inside that room, so the truth remains locked away.
Of course, here, over the past couple of months, prosecutors have been building their case against Dwayne Keefe D. Davis to indict him in the murder of Tupac Shakur. And these photos and videos are just some of the evidence that was shown to a grand jury, helping them build their case.
So in January, you posted a couple Instagram things that sort of implied that Tupac was alive and in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And also I think you said some things maybe last year as well. And of course that, I'm curious, what was that?
I already know, trust me, because when I said it, the whole world stopped moving. Like, everybody's like, what's going on? Like, I went and got 200,000.
And then there's the strangest part, the missing hours between 4:03 p.m. and 7 p.m. The hospital went silent. Staff were ordered not to speak or release anything until the family approved it. That blackout window is exactly when many believe the leaked funeral footage was recorded. This is where the story shifts. Tupac's passing didn't just end a life, it created a split in history. For almost 30 years, rumors and contradictions have piled up, but this time the evidence isn't a lyric or a fan theory, it's a camera. Experts confirmed the leaked clip was recorded on a 90s analog tape, the kind used by Sony camcorders back then. The scene is silent, controlled, candlelit, and it shows a body that shouldn't exist if the official timeline is true.
New, never-before-seen photos and video connected to the investigation into the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. This is now available to the public. It includes pictures and video of the car Shakur was riding in the night of his death. You can see holes scattered all across that vehicle. This newly released evidence showing never-before-seen details in a case that's cracked wide open some 27.
If the leaked video is real, it leaves only two possibilities. Either the cremation timeline wasn't accurate, or someone secretly filmed Tupac's body against Afeni Shakur's wishes. Hospital logs show the trauma ward went into lockdown within hours, with access limited to family, a couple of death row reps, and doctors.
Zoom in. That's Pac, man. He was the outlaw. And Reg from Hollaback is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Hollaback exclusive, baby.
Yet in the transfer records is one mysterious name, F. James Media. No journalist has ever claimed it. Analysts found something even stranger in the footage, a reflection in a glass cabinet showing a man in scrubs holding a professional shoulder-mounted camera, the same kind used by documentary crews in 1996. Whoever filmed that moment was inside the hospital. The question is why? Afeni's response was immediate. She demanded every photo and every tape be destroyed. And for years it seemed like that order held, until now. Because everything changed in mid-2025 when a former Las Vegas police technician anonymously delivered a high-8 tape to an archivist in Compton. He claimed it had been mislabeled and forgotten in an evidence box for decades. Tests proved the tape was from the 90s. And once digitized, fragments leaked online within weeks. Authorities stayed silent, but the footage lined up with the missing evidence logs from the 1996 homicide file, logs that only reappeared during a 2023 audit. Analysts later discovered the clip was digitized around 2003 to 2005, meaning it may have circulated privately long before the public ever saw it.
Jeff, you just said something about common sense. Think about all them years people kept saying Tupac was alive.
Yep. They showed they did a video with Tupac in Cuba. In Cuba, walking around Havana.
Hey, look, I got family members. I got family members were telling me 10, 15 years ago Tupac was alive.
Yeah.
Look, dead serious. I'm like, really? No, Tupac's alive. I'm like, come on, man. And then you show them AI, Jenny. We got a lot of unstable people out here. They believe this stuff, Jeff. They see it. They may believe it.
It looks real. It looks real. Tupac and Biggie walking around together, kicking.
And 2 frames show a faint reflection of someone wearing a death row jacket, suggesting the filming happened within hours of Tupac's demise. If that's true, then either someone inside death row secretly documented the body, or a private viewing took place before any cremation happened. Either scenario shatters the official version of events. And that's where everything cracks. The people around Tupac believed they were keeping him safe, even in afterlife. But the footage suggests the opposite, that someone betrayed that trust. A 14-second video is now challenging almost 30 years of history. What started as a question about whether the clip was real has turned into something much bigger. A deep look at how myths form, how legends are protected, and how truth gets buried when powerful people are involved. Whether the tape shows Tupac's real body or an elaborate reconstruction, its existence forces one uncomfortable reality. Something happened between the hospital, the morgue, and the crematory that didn't make it into the official timeline. Afeni Shakur fought hard for her son's dignity, demanding privacy and peace. But someone else in that room may have wanted to capture a moment they were never supposed to keep. If the footage is real, then Tupac's final hours weren't as sealed and straightforward as history claims. There were movements, transfers, and decisions made behind closed doors, decisions that still haunt the story today. And as experts continue arguing over pixels and timestamps, the core of this mystery is painfully human. It's a story of loyalty and betrayal, of a star surrounded by people who loved him but couldn't protect him, and of a mother trying to shield her son one last time from an industry built on spectacle. The new footage doesn't just reopen a case, it reopens a wound. And honestly, maybe that's why it hit so hard. Tupac's legacy has always lived in that space between truth and rumor, reality and resurrection, man and myth. Whatever the camera was meant to capture that day, it ended up becoming something else. A reflection of how far the world would go to uncover what it was never meant to see. This clip doesn't bring closure, it brings weight. It reminds everyone that Tupac was bigger than the conspiracies, bigger than the 7-day theory, bigger than all the codes fans have spent decades decoding. He was a son, an artist, a fighter, and that defiance he carried in life still lingers now. In every blurred second of that tape, in every missing detail, in every whisper that swears he's still out there, watching the world argue about him. Maybe that's exactly how Tupac wanted it. Not silence, but conversation. Not an ending, but movement that never stops. So after everything we've uncovered, the missing hours, the mystery footage, the contradictions, what do you think really happened in Tupac's final moments? Was this a cover-up, a misunderstanding, or something far more deliberate? And if this footage is real, why did it stay hidden for nearly 30 years? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into hip-hop's biggest mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. The truth is only getting louder.